The most racist state in America? The ugly truth they don't want you to know. If you think racism in America is a thing of the past, think again. There's one state that stands out, not just for its sunshine or beaches, but for a dark, festering underbelly of racism so deep it seeps into the job market, the police department, and even the grocery store checkout line. We're talking about Florida. Yes, Florida, where being black can feel like a crime, and speaking Spanish might be the key to survival, even if this is supposed to be the United States of America. Florida is the third most populous state in the country. It boasts beautiful coastlines, vibrant cities, and a massive tourism industry. But behind the palm trees and Disney rides is a system so stacked against black Americans, it borders on dystopian. The truth? Florida might just be the most racist state in the nation. Let's start with police brutality. Florida's law enforcement has a long, ugly history of violence against black people. From the murder of Gregory Vaughn Hill Jr., shot by a St. Lucie County deputy in his own garage in 2014, to the brutal beatings of unarmed black teens across cities like Miami, Orlando, and Jacksonville, the pattern is undeniable. What's worse, the officers involved are rarely convicted. The so-called justice system bends over backward to protect them. Florida has one of the highest rates of police killings per capita in the country, and if you're black, your risk skyrockets. But the racism in Florida doesn't stop with the police. It bleeds into economic discrimination, particularly in the job market. In major cities like Miami and Tampa, there's a disturbing and rarely talked about phenomenon. If you don't speak Spanish, you're treated like you don't exist. Job after job, from retail to corporate, requires bilingual skills, but the reality is that bilingual often just means Spanish speaking. Black Americans, especially those whose families have been in the U.S. for generations, are frequently passed over for jobs they are qualified for simply because they don't speak Spanish. Let that sink in. In America, not speaking Spanish can leave a black person unemployed. In cities like Hialeah or Little Havana, job listings explicitly prefer or demand Spanish speakers, despite the fact that English is the national language. Meanwhile, African Americans, who already face institutional barriers, are being pushed further to the margins in the very country their ancestors helped build. This isn't diversity. This is replacement through exclusion. And this isn't just a coincidence. Florida's demographics reveal the deeper truth. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, as of 2024, Florida's population is approximately 53% white, non-Hispanic, 17% black or African American, 27% Hispanic or Latino of any race, 3% Asian, 0.5% Native American. In cities like Miami, however, Hispanic and Latino people make up over 70% of the population, with large communities from Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. Many of these communities bring their own complex racial histories, including deeply rooted anti-black biases. Anti-blackness within parts of the Latino community is real. It shows up in hiring practices, social attitudes, and even in media representation. It's not unusual to hear Spanish-speaking residents use racial slurs or mock black Americans outright, perpetuating the same white supremacist ideals that harm their own people. Florida is one of the only states where you can be harassed by police, denied jobs, and stereotyped as lazy, violent, or inferior, all because you're black, and no one bats an eye. And if you dare speak up about it, you're branded as divisive, angry, or playing the race card. It's not just happening in redneck rural areas either. It's happening in Miami, where flashy cars and pastel suits hide class warfare and racial exclusion. It's happening in Orlando, where the wealth from billion-dollar theme parks rarely touches black neighborhoods. It's happening in Tallahassee, where state laws increasingly favor policing over people. So what does it mean when the state built on freedom and sunshine is really built on systemic oppression and silence? When the people most affected by racism are told to be grateful just to be allowed in the room? Let's be clear, racism in Florida is not just about black versus white. It's about a multi-layered system of exclusion where black Americans, especially those who don't speak Spanish, are becoming strangers in their own homeland. Disclaimer. This essay does not suggest that every individual in Florida is racist, nor does it demonize any ethnic group as a whole. The purpose is to shed light on the systemic and institutional issues that disproportionately affect Black Americans in Florida, especially in the context of job discrimination, police brutality, and interethnic prejudice. Racism is a structural problem, and naming it is the first step toward change.